What's up, y'all? We are back on the Traditional Millennial. I am your host, Brittany Dodson, and I am highly anticipating and looking forward to today's episode because we are talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, and I know I'm going to learn a lot. I know that there is going to be some very insightful information for myself and even for all of you, especially as independent music artists. And today we have two people here who are more than capable of handling this conversation. They are not strangers to the podcast, so I want to welcome back Pat Washington and Dondrae Vinson.
What's going on? What's going on?
Thank y'all so much. Thank you so much for being here today. Listen, I'm not going to talk a lot because I know y'all got a lot to say. So I want to go ahead and jump in the conversation. But before I do that, I know y'all been here already before and you talked about yourself, but just to have everything within the context of this particular conversation, go ahead and just like kind of give a little background about you in the music space, because today we are going to be talking about music business, all the things, you know, how it works, why it's important, what it looks like locally, what it looks like for independent music artists. So go ahead and give a little background about yourself so people will know that you are qualified, incredible to have this conversation.
Okay. So for those who don't know, I'm a producer, songwriter, engineer, owner of Ferocious Productions. I've been doing music for probably 25 plus years. I started when I was 15 as a producer. After that, intern at a studio. That's kind of how I got in the business. And I met people like Pat along the way, other talented artists. So that's kind of how I got my start.
Okay. What about some people you've worked with?
In my city, I worked with so many people.
Me, I'm one of them.
The brilliant Brittany Dodson, of course. Like I said, my guy Pat Washington. All genres, anybody who's doing something around here. I've worked with a few national artists. We got R&B artist Case. I worked with Willie of Day 26, Slim of 112. I've done some Southern Soul stuff. So it's a lot. It's a long list. But
yeah.
Just to name a few.
Pretty dope resume. What about you, Pat? Talk about your background and. You know.
I'll be honest. I'm really just the offspring of what he just said. So musically, I started rapping when I was 9, and my daddy dropped me off at their house. They had a studio there, and basically I was just kind of learning the ropes in that space. And then I switched over from artistry to production just because I just felt like it was cooler to be telling people what to do instead of taking direction. So I was just like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get on this side. And I started producing. I work with a lot of people here as well. As far as mainstream goes, light skin Keisha B. Smith. I've worked with Jacquees before. I work with Q from Day 26, and Robert from Day 26.
Oh man, awesome!
Yeah.
So both of y'all are well equipped in the music space to give people information that they need, and just to give like some insight, enlightenment on how things should look, how things should go. You know, I know we don't know everything about everything, but you know, you've experienced enough and you worked with enough people, you've been around the industry long enough to know what things should look like when they're done the right way, right? Mm-hmm. So just to start this off, whenever we think about music business and, you know, we're talking about it amongst each other or whatever, whenever you hear that and you think about what we have going on locally, what comes to mind? Like, what do y'all think about?
I'll let him go first on that.
Repeat the question one more time.
Whenever like I say music business or the business of music or whatever, whenever you think about like the local scene that we have here, how like how do you feel? Like what comes to mind when people bring that up or when somebody talks about it?
I feel like it's a lot of talking, not a lot of listening. I feel like that goes on. I think now this is one thing that I will say. our talent here compared to the talent that I have seen, just when I speak of talent, I'm just saying like skill level. Man, it's higher than a lot of places. You know, I think some of the best rappers that I've ever heard in my life are right here in this city, or this state rather. There's some amazing vocalists. I just feel like we stopped kind of there, you know, in that space. We are, I just feel like we lack in a lot of other areas outside of talent. We have the talent, but I know that it takes more than that to make, you know, a significant impact in the industry.
Yeah. I feel like I think that was you. I think we were talking, or you were telling me somebody told you or something. I don't know. My stories don't always like add up right. I can't get things right. But you mentioned that somebody said, or either you said or you heard somewhere where, you know, a hit doesn't come in the studio. Like, you don't make a hit record in the studio. Like, that's not where your song is going to blow up. Like, once you walk out of there, just because you recorded it or just because you have the skill level and the talent to do it doesn't mean that anything beyond that is going to happen with it. You know, and it goes back to what you're saying. Like, you have the talent, you have the skill set, you have the ability to be able to do it, but beyond that, what else are you doing?
Right.
What are you gonna do?
That's when the real work starts, after the song.
After the song.
A lot of people stop there.
Yeah, they do.
And I understand it. Like, I used to be real, like a stickler for that type of thing, or be real judgmental towards people. But I understand that, you know, the accomplishment, and me and Pat was just talking about this off camera, like, the accomplishment is in seeing the idea all the way through. Now, if you a person, like he said, a lot of talking and no action, if you're a person that's saying, okay, I want more than just to create music, I want to be an artist, then that's where you start getting judged. When you talk like, you know, you really want to pursue it all the way.
Yeah.
So that's where the work comes in after the song is done.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's a so I go back to when I first started producing. Like, there was a skill level that I was learning to play piano, right? But just because I'm a good piano player don't mean that I'm gonna be a good producer, right? And I think that in order to produce effectively, there are things educationally that you have to get in order to really be able to do this. You know what I'm saying? There's some language and some, you know, knowledge that you really need to be able to have. And I feel like because artistry, it don't cost you nothing to use your voice. A lot of times it stops there. So if I wake up and I'm a good singer, then all I got to do is just be a good singer, and we never really take the time for real to get the education needed to be an artist. And so there's a lot of, and I honestly, and I think, you know, Drake could attest to this too, but I mean, this is an ongoing process of like learning. Like, there's, you know, we have conversations through group texts about, you know, mixing frequencies and compression ratios. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's the conversation that we had. I don't know that those types of conversations get had from the artist's perspective.
Well, you know, I will say I don't have those conversations. I need to, though.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like sometimes there is a hard stop on where I can go, what I can do, because I don't have the right, you know, knowledge about certain things. Yeah. But whenever I get to feeling like that, though, you best believe I'm going to start learning.
Definitely.
You know, especially when it starts bothering me, because there's a reason why it's bothering me now. And so I feel like that's telling me, okay, you need to go a little bit further, because right now there is only something that even like now with us, like with technology, you know, when we were growing up, our parents did all this stuff that we got now. It wasn't around, but you got to move with whatever is happening in front of you. And so it's the same way with music. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. So whenever you think about local music business and somebody says that to you, how do you feel about it?
Like he said, a lot of talent. What I would like to see more of is taking it serious. I'm a big believer in when you say you want to be an artist, you kind of have to draw the line in the sand from being you can still be a fan. I'm a fan of music, period. But I see far too many times people, like, they'll be so much of a fan that they either mimic someone else or they look to someone else for what they're doing. And a lot of times that's not realistic if you're on a whole different playing field. Right. So if you trying to do your role out like Beyonce and it's your first project, it's not the same. You can't just drop and make your whole page, you know, one picture.
Yeah,
no, it's not gonna work.
Now, let me say this. So, with in that same sentiments, on the opposite side, you can't be so in a space where roll out is important when you don't have no fan base to roll out to.
Exactly.
So I know a lot of people that's like in that space where it's like they drop and then don't say nothing. But then I also know a lot of people that's like ain't dropped nothing because I got to get the rollout right. And the roll, it's like you don't have a fan base for real. This music needs to be out so that somebody can at least accidentally roll up on it. You know what I'm saying? So
let me ask y'all this: how do you know how you tell people, like, maybe you having a conversation with somebody or you hear people say, do and act and be like where you want to be and where you want to go, right? So how do you balance out knowing, okay, I don't have a Beyonce fan base, so I can't do it like this, but I also want to do it like I want a Beyonce fan base.
Right.
How do you balance that out?
Community, I think.
I agree.
I think community is important. You know what I'm saying? And talking to other people, like, so this is something that I have kind of started embracing since last year, is complete transparency in conversation. Right? I feel like one thing that I do feel like our community lacks really heavy is complete transparency, because everybody wants to look like their situation is a certain way, right? And so for me as a producer, if you are a artist that has this persona that I got all the money in the world, I don't got no issues, I ain't got no problems, I don't have this coming. When you come to me and it's time for us to talk about something, you know, let's do something, I need for you to come with that same energy to pay me what my rating is, right? Yeah. But a lot of times we'll have that persona and it not really be the case. So it's like you got these talented people that won't tell you, hey, man, I really just don't got it like that right now.
Yeah.
But I want to make this music. And somebody like me, and I've seen Pharaoh do it as well, like, we'll help you, you know, in the space.
I can attest to that with you.
And so it's like,
sure.
it's like, just, you know, be completely honest, you know what I'm saying, about those things. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, and I joke about this all the time, but when I go and I talk to kids sometimes and they see my watch, right? They be like, it's bling. But I got this from Amazon. I wanted something that shined on my wrist, and I knew that I liked my Apple Watch. So I was like, oh, let me see if they make a shiny Apple Watch band. Come on, bro. We talk about $40, if that. You know what I'm saying? But it looked good. But I'm not going to. But you got a lot of people that'll be like, yeah, man, 100K. Right. It's like, no, sir.
I got it from Johnny Dang.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like that's just not a thing. And so but I think when you in a space where you got community around you and transparent community, you know what I'm saying? Like to be able to say, okay, y'all, I don't know this, but I'm reaching out. Do any of y'all know this? Or do y'all want to research this together to figure it out?
Yeah.
You know, sure. I think that's me.
Yeah.
I want to add on to what he said. And a lot of times that what he's describing is based in pride. And so it can put you between a rock and a hard place because like he just said, when you really need help, you think back like, man, I put on this whole persona. So now I can't ask for help because I done put myself above everybody.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That's dangerous.
It's real dangerous.
Yeah.
And it can be very, very inhibiting to how far you go too.
Absolutely.
Like you can be like an amazing artist, creative or whatever, but pride is gonna keep you from reaching the level of success that you could have if you just said, look, I don't have it or I can't do it. Let's figure this out. Because then you may get to a place where you will be the lender. Like,
For sure.
you will be the person who will be helping somebody else. You won't have to ask. I mean, well, of course, we're all, at some point, we'll all have to ask somebody something. Yeah. But you won't be asking the same questions that you were asking when you started. You know? So let me ask y'all this, since y'all mentioned that. We talk pride and people, you know, not wanting to ask and not reaching their full potential and all the things. And, you know, we're all here, basically here in this area. How do y'all think that, or how badly does the competition here locally affect what we could do nationally or globally as artists, or even as producers, as creators, like just in the music space? How much does it affect that, the competition that people have? And and when I say competition, you know, I'm not saying like Walgreens competing with Walmart in that, like that type of competition, but like individually competition from an ill space.
I think it's it's the same thing as far as when you put yourself in a space of, you know, as if you have a fan base and you don't. Some people put themselves in a space to where they have competition in their head and they don't. Nobody's competing with you. You built that.
That's really along the lines of what I was gonna say. It was a lot nicely put. The way he's all right, so my grandfather would always say, you got to know who you are at the table, right? And if you don't know who you are at the table, then you can have issues at the table. And so what I mean by that is, like, a lot of times, and it goes back to not, you know, being transparent in conversations, but I'll honestly say, like, it really ain't no competition here. You know what I'm saying? And it's not from an arrogant standpoint, but it is from a standpoint of knowing that there's absolutely nobody else here that could do what I do here. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Though, in the way that I do it, in my approach and how it is that, and also I knew, also I did the work.
Yeah.
To be as good as so it's like Rick Fox gotta know when Kobe Bryant is on the court. You gotta know that. You know what I'm saying? But it's not for you to be like, all right, cool, well, since Kobe on the court, let me do the same thing as Kobe. No, you can't do the same thing as Kobe because you Rick Fox.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of times we get into these situations which ultimately, in the long run of things, they don't succeed anyway when you try to compete because you can't handle the weight of what this person is doing.
Right.
And so, yeah, what you end up doing is you just keep, you know, delaying yourself. If I'm constantly competing with Ferocious, knowing that, you know what I'm saying, what I'm supposed to be doing is different than what he's supposed to be doing. Every time I try to do the same thing that he doing, I'm just delaying myself from getting to where I was supposed to be in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's a form of insanity that we have here.
Yeah.
You know, that that we
insanity and insecurity.
Definitely, definitely. I think so that's another thing. It's the understanding. Like, there's a lot of mentality stuff, and I'll be honest with you. I go down a lot of rabbit holes daily on like why people make the decisions that they make. But I was talking to this, I can say white man on this Okay, cool.
You can't fat. He's
So,
white, is he?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
definitely white. So I was talking to I was in Fort Smith at a wedding for New Year's, and this white man, he was drunk, but he was talking to me very, very transparently, and it made a lot of sense. And he was a successful, CEO. He was working with Tyson Chicken. And this man said, you know why? You know what's different about the way I do business and the way your people do business? And he prefaced this by saying there was no disrespect to black people.
Yeah.
But he said, in business, we still have a street mentality. So if we paid $1,000 to get an ounce, what's the return on that supposed to be?
For us, it's double.
Exactly. And he said that's the problem because our expectations for our put out are entirely too high, so we quit before we get started. He's happy if he makes 25 cents more than $1. And I was like, yo, that is insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so you get into that space where you're, all right, I put out this song and it didn't get 100,000 likes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess I just need to do something different. When it's like, bro, just be grateful about the 15 likes.
Right.
And then maybe, the next release is 30 likes. And maybe the next release, and I feel like when we get into those spaces where we can't see the progress that we making because we too busy looking at everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Then we get into spaces where we become insecure.
Right.
And now I feel like I got to compete with Ferocious. I got to do the same thing as this person, or I got to do, and it's just, it's because you have a skewed view of what success really is.
Right. Yeah, and it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
Like you think you're doing something, but you're actually, like you said, you're delaying what you already had going on or what you were supposed to do anyway. And then the thing is, man, I don't even think people I think sometimes creatively you got to think from a spiritual perspective too, because that's like creating is not something that you naturally do. Being able to do that is not natural. So if you realize that God is big enough to give all of us different stuff and it still be successful, then you'll understand that I don't have to do what you do anyway, because God is just that big in what he can do. He can give me all that I need and give you what you need. You can blow up and I can blow up and we can do it at the same time it still be, because my audience is not your audience. My audience is not your audience, is not your audience. So who I'm supposed to reach, it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen if I do what I'm supposed to do. If not, it's not going to reach anybody, because the people who want Pat, they looking for Pat.
Right, exactly.
They're not looking for Pat and Brittany.
Right.
They're not looking for Dre and Brittany.
Yeah.
They're looking for you in you. So you just supposed to do what you're supposed to do. But man, I don't know. A lot of people don't really understand that. They don't really see that. And then they always wonder, well, dang, why didn't this do what it was supposed to do? Why didn't it? Because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
And then sometimes it's just because you building. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I got into a situation.
You can't build on what everybody else is.
No, right. No, yeah, you can't. No. Don't try to stack your bricks over here with on top of they wood. That ain't. Yeah. Like I say, it's like we just got to start celebrating the small wins. We do. You know what I'm saying? And really being like, okay, cool, and not being like, okay, well, I dribble a ball today. If I'm not in the NBA tomorrow, I'm a failure. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's not it.
No, it's not it. Yeah. And you keep going. Like, as I think they asked, I don't remember who it was. It was a press conference during the NBA Finals. They were talking to one of the players, I can't remember, and they were like, well, y'all didn't win today. Feel like you failed and all this, and he was like, we got other games to play.
Man, come on. No. Yeah.
I haven't failed. If I stop, I will. Yeah. I will have failed. But this is a lesson. Yeah. Like we got to keep going. Yeah. And like you said, people don't often see it like that. And I think too, something I think is a major problem that we don't steward well and we don't regulate well is social media, because we see so much stuff from other people and we want to do it just like them, or we want to do it better than them, and it's like, just because you see this doesn't mean that it's something that you're supposed to grab. And you see a whole lot of things from a different perspective whenever you actually start looking at yourself for real.
Right.
And like people don't understand that the person that's putting stuff out there because they see somebody else do it, you thinking that it's gonna do well because this person over here did it, and now you don't even understand that this person over here that's doing this, they may not even like doing what they doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you trying to do what they do, and you don't even know how they're doing what they're doing.
That's that. It's that.
You don't know how they're getting what they're getting,
Right.
so you might need to tread lightly and just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
But I feel like social media is really making people think about success in a radical way that's often unrealistic.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a human nature issue too, because
sure.
So it's like I don't, and for a long time I would say, oh man, it's social media, but Instagram is an app.
That's it.
It's not. It's in reality, it's like what happened was it's the same keeping up with the Joneses. The grass is green on the other side. It's the same exact thing that's been happening for centuries.
Yep.
It's just now that it's super, super accessible. But people ain't doing nothing no different than, okay, well, I stay on this side of the street. He cutting his grass. Let me run outside and cut my grass.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a human problem that we've had,
Absolutely.
in trying to, compare ourselves. And,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, you can only walk in your shoes.
That's it. That's all you can do. Because everybody else's shoes won't fit. So, y'all, I'm about to switch gears because I just thought about this. So, whenever we think business, any business, but we're talking about music today, we think about, or you have to think about how your reputation affects your business. And so whenever we're like working, like, cause some stuff we miss, I think, as independent artists that's on like, on a small level that hadn't just made it to this elite status or whatever, we tend to ignore certain things that we need to do or not pay a lot of attention to it. So whenever we think about like credits and stuff and splits in business and stuff like that, I want y'all to talk about like how that works, like what it is, how it works, what's the proper way to do it, and I want you to, if you have, instances where people not properly doing that affected you wanting to work with them or your willingness to work with them.
That's a long. Well, that's
sorry.
That's loaded, man.
Oh, you hit a couple nerves.
So just for people, in layman's terms, what she's referring to as splits is when a work is put together, completed, or whatever. It's just about splitting the percentages of everybody involved, what their role was in the job, and what percentage they should get.
Yeah, at its very basic level.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Okay, when you say basic level. What? Because you got songwriters, you got producers.
That's why I said basic level. So like, so in order to understand this, you gotta get that definition first.
Right.
So so it's three of us in this room, 33.3%. You know what I'm saying? We are in this room and we are creating something. We know that whatever the split, and this is just, I'm gonna say this just if you working with like us, with people like us.
Yeah.
Because that is different. But if we are equally splitting, that split is the percentage that each person's get, period. Like contribution wise. That's what you want to make sure that you get that. I think the next question that you was asking was about like songwriters and producers and different things like that, right?
Yeah, when you
so
get
like
into that.
so there's a thing called publishing. There's a thing called publishing. publishing is only a songwriter's thing. It's only for songwriters. Producers don't get publishing. That's only for songwriters. Producers can get a royalty, but they don't necessarily get publishing for it. So let's from a publishing standpoint, let's just take a book, for example. So you can write a book, but then when you actually publish the book, you put it out to the public, it may go out digitally, it may go out physically, it may go out, you know what I'm saying? A lot of different types of ways. So those different ways that it goes out is considered publishing, right? So I could produce a record. So let's just say I produced a record that he wrote for you, right? So what happen is I would be paid a producer's fee, and this is kind of messed up, but a lot of times I will get what's called an advance on the front end because I produced the song. He would get nothing,
Right.
and then you wouldn't get nothing either. Really, you ain't gonna get nothing till you perform the song because he wrote it, I produced it, unless he feel like you deserve something. But I'm not giving you nothing. But so from the producer space, so the label pays me in advance, which is an advance on the whatever they feel like the record, the success of the record could be. So a lot of times right now, I think I heard something the other day where they was like they paying major labels are now paying producers $5,000 to $40,000 advance on a song, right? So they give me $5,000, and I don't make another dime until that $5,000 is recouped by the label. After that $5,000 is recouped by the label, I will then start to be paid a royalty based on whatever percentage I negotiated for the song, which then will cut into the royalty that he gets as well.
As a writer.
So that would be a conversation that we would have to make. And then he would make money as soon as the record started making money because he didn't get no advance on the front end. And then depending on y'all's relationship, you probably not going to get nothing until you perform.
No, I ain't gonna get nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So, okay. So, as we're talking about this, you're talking about producers, songwriters, royalties, publishing, how people get paid, all the things. What is the standard rate, percentage-wise, that
it's not?
You all feel, what do you feel like? How do you feel it should work?
So I mean, it's a forever changing business, and like if we talk, we'll take it back to like we'll say mid 90s, 2000s, right? When physical products were still out here, CDs and things like that, the business was totally different. That's why they could give a Timberland $200,000 just to walk in the studio, because they know that the song that him and whoever it is, if it's Static Major, Aaliyah, they know that the song that they're making is going on something physical and tangible that they are selling in stores. So once they did away with that changed there's no longer a standard rate of anything. It's from project to project.
Yeah. And producer to producer. So like if me and Dre work on a record together, we know that we gonna split everything down the middle. No matter who do what, we gonna just to keep things simple and you know what I'm saying, because we just, us.
And we got more games to play.
We gonna split it down the middle. But so I'll be transparent in this conversation. So I produced a song called Ride Good with my homie Mr. Music. It was for Light Skin Keisha and B. Smith. There are 5 people on the credits of that song. Only 3 did any work on it. So me, Marcus, Jazzy Faye. Jazzy Faye was a writer on the song. So even if we split everything down the middle, we should have ended up with 20% apiece. That didn't happen. I got 12%, and Marcus got 12%. And the remainder of that went to Jazzy Faye and the other two people that didn't.
What were the other two people credited for?
Writers?
Oh, as writers.
Yeah, everybody. Okay. So like when you look at your PRO sheets, like and that's BMI, ASCAP, CSAC. You don't. The producer is not on there. You know, you could be a composer or whatever, but most people are just labeled as writers.
Okay, so these are writers.
No matter what they did, right? The reason why that is what it is because in the music industry now there's a lot of middlemen, right? So I got a track that I got in Usher. Usher. So I can send you the track, and then you can then give it to Usher. But in order for you to give it to Usher, you tell me I need a percentage of the song when it come out. And so that's just one middleman. But we in an industry now where it's like 6, 7. You know, which like leads you to be like in situations where, like for me, I don't really like a whole lot of people in the studio when we working. Like, I don't want to.
For sure.
Yeah, nah, like I don't, cause those type of things get messy. I think it was like Confessions album that was like the royalties were held up on this song for like 8 or 9 years.
On the whole album.
On the whole album, right? Dang. Because they just couldn't figure out, you know, because they was just inviting girls in the room and this, and now somebody said they did this and somebody said, and it just, you know what I'm saying, it just get real messy. And so like to keep things very, very simple, I like to deal with as few people as possible.
Yeah.
In those spaces. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. So whenever y'all produce, whenever y'all work with people, and it's just you, producer, songwriter, that's it. Maybe 2 songwriters. What is your expectation as producers? Split-wise, royalty, like what is your expectation?
I only work with my niggas, so it's even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even.
And you know what's crazy? It's only urban music that itemizes percentages like that. Every other genre, like in pop music, they don't do that. They split everything down the middle.
I ain't know that.
Country music, same thing.
Dang.
Because it's easy. Like you said,
it's just easy. It is easy.
I think that's what I do. Yeah. I just do everything. Even with you, like I don't. It's 50-50. I mean, because I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs.
And the gospel industry different.
They
ain't splitting like that.
Yeah,
they don't split evenly.
Nah. I don't think they do. But
and we also we got to specify that for the people that don't know, a song is automatically 50% music and 50% lyrics anyway.
Yeah.
Also.
Right.
Yeah.
So some people don't even know that.
Yeah, that my little small well of knowledge as far as business goes. That's just how the math works in my head anyway. You know, so I don't go beyond that. I can't, because I'm not doing all that for what?
Yeah.
And I just feel like if I didn't have music, I wouldn't have a song anyway. So what are we doing? You know? So I don't know. So tell me if y'all have, a time when that wasn't done right or wasn't done well, and do you stop working with people when they don't do that right? Do you have a conversation with them? Like, how do y'all handle situations like that with artists or people, like especially independent artists, because they don't have a label telling them what to do with whatever. They determine it themselves. They are the label most of the time. So how has that worked?
For me, it's usually based on intentions. Like we spoke about transparency. So if there is an issue and we have a conversation about it, I just watch closely to the details of the conversation and the actions thereafter. Like I've had situations where it was an easy phone call, like, hey, we need to blah, blah, blah on the splits. Okay, boom, done. I've also had situations where it's like the person that's registering the song has no idea on how to register a song. and they know they don't,
Yeah.
and they know that I do, but then they'll go. Everything will be a collaboration in the song making process, but all of a sudden when it's time to register the song, then it's like, oh, I'm gonna do it on my own.
Yeah.
So why would you do that if you don't know how to do it?
Right.
So then when mistakes happen and then it's a conversation, it's like, oh, well, we'll figure it out. It's a lot of that type of stuff going on with, like you said, when I'm working with my friends, that's not an issue. But
when people you don't know. So
Yeah.
do you keep working with them?
most times, probably not. Because, and even if they're super talented, that mentality lets me know that you're not really in it for the long haul. Because if you feel like you have to, cuff certain percentages or do things like that, then where is your head at on the longevity of this thing? I only want to work with people that I see a long-term working relationship.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money you pay me. If we're doing a one and done, most times I'm not really interested.
Yeah. I can see that.
I'll be completely honest with you. Outside of major label artists, I just looked yesterday. I only have 2 independent artists that have ever even registered the stuff we did.
Really?
Yeah. So like I don't necessarily have a story for that. I mean, the only thing I can say is like people not registering their music.
Lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Just like not even
Or getting overwhelmed.
Okay, well since you said that then, when y'all say register your music, what do you mean when you say that, and how do you do that? Because maybe some people don't know that they're supposed to do it.
right.
Maybe they don't understand how it works. Maybe they don't know who to go through. Maybe they don't even know when you say register. Maybe they don't even know like what does that even mean. So what do you mean?
So off rip, we talking copywriting your song, proving that everybody involved are the actual creators. Secondly, we talking performance rights organizations, BMI, ASCAP, or CSAC, being a member of one of those and registering your works in case they are getting, play that you don't know about. These companies track all that stuff and they pay you.
Right. In case people don't know where to go to copyright their work, where do they go?
They go to copyright.gov.
Copyright.gov. Library of Congress. That's
Library
how
of
you
Congress.
copyright.gov. So BMI asks, so when you register a song, what do you do? What's the process? Maybe because like Matt, y'all, you saying like because some people don't do it, like they just don't, and maybe they're not members of BMI.
And it's crazy because we're in the age of YouTube University, so
Man, boy.
Right.
it baffles me when people say, "Man, I want to sit down and you just show me how to." Man, I can send you a 5-minute video right now that'll walk you through every step.
Well,
I think that's the thing too. I think that might hit a little nerve for real for me because I have that conversation every time. But there, like I said, it's only been 2 to actually go and do that's the stuff that's not sexy. That ain't, going in and sitting at the computer and typing this information in and, what I'm saying, doing all that. Everybody that I've ever worked with, I've had that conversation and been like, hey, you need to do this. And the response is, okay, cool, I'm going to do it. And, song come out, go and you check, and it's like, ah, dang, this ain't even, they didn't register this. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that just go back to people not really wanting to do the work.
Yeah.
Real.
Well, let me say this because I'm gonna play devil's advocate. For
Okay.
Just a second. So I know for me, now I like information anyway. I love research. Like I love data. I love stuff like that. Anyway, not everybody is like that. So I'm going to research stuff. It's just random. Anything. I'm going to do that. But I also know there is only so far I will go before I need to have a conversation with somebody about something to actually ask them in person. Like I need to be able to stop you when you say something so I can interject a question or whatever. So maybe how often are you dealing with people who may need in-person advisement versus you sending them to YouTube to try to figure it out? Or are you dealing with people who are tech savvy, enough to where they can do that on their own and get it right. Because I'm gonna tell you, being like registering my songs sometimes, like used to be, I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm like,
from what aspect?
From like the percent, because when you get started, like I'm like they talking about 200% and all the things, and I'm like, 200%, like that. What's that's confusing. I don't know. That ain't math. Ain't the right math.
Just multiply.
So, but you saying that? Okay, I like math. I figured it out.
Okay,
I can figure it out. But what about the people who can't figure it out and they don't know? And you got YouTube video who is saying this. They're saying 200% here, and they're like 200. And then they got stuck right there. They can't even get past the 200%, or whatever. Or then you gotta register as writers, and then you got registration as publishers. Like, you know what I mean? Like that stuff can get confusing and convoluted for some people.
So I have an interesting perspective on that, only because, so for me, I had a BMI account before I ever put out a song. So I was registering songs, and I was doing it wrong, of course, but there was still something special about my mentality at that time. I was registering songs on BMI that hadn't come out, only because I had learned how to properly do the percentages and stuff. So I'm thinking that I'm supposed to be doing this before the song come out.
Why did you do that?
Because I had mentors that was giving me information. I had so much information that I was utilizing the information, and I feel like
all right, so
in the wrong way, basically.
You had the mentors that told you what to do.
Right.
Why did you do what they said?
Because each person that told me these things, there was evidence of their know-how and their success.
Right. And ultimately because you really wanted it, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so Brittany, I have to be completely honest with you right now.
Come on, talk to us.
So, and I'm currently in this space of starting trying to understand people, but that what you just said, like, it's really hard for me to have empathy for people like that, because I don't really know what that's like. First of all, so I'm raised in a household with a very, very strict father and all brothers, and it just ain't no sugar coat, ain't no, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll say this, I come from an athletic background too, and so when you really want it, you do what you got to do to make the stuff happen. And so what he was saying is he had mentors to tell him what he needed to do. The reason why he went and did the stuff is because he wanted the success for real.
So I'm going to start. I'm sorry to
interrupt.
interrupt
Go ahead.
you. So are you saying that if you don't really want it, you just don't need to do it? Like, just don't even do it?
Absolutely.
Or do it as a hobby and stay out the people way that's serious.
Okay. So you can do it. Go ahead.
I'll use a perfect analogy. Let's use academics. When you got to sign up to do these college applications and these things like that, you got to get it done, or you're not going to college.
Facts. They not sitting with you all. You know what I'm saying? If you miss the deadline, you just try again next semester.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just that right there. And I think that will start to sift out, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people, because there are some people that's just hobbyists, you know, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that like I be drawing. I like drawing, but I ain't no artist like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to go to that extent. Even within music, and I tell Pharaoh them this all the time. Him and my homie Gregatron, they are some extremely good engineers, and they get like granular with this information and like how stuff is going and how stuff is. I'm a producer 100% at heart. I'm not mixing nothing. Because I don't desire to take my brain to them levels that they have to take their brain to, and I realize that. So I tell my clients, look, you ain't got no budget for no mixing, or if you can't get it mixed, cool. I'll give you what I can do, but know that I'm a basic level on this stuff.
Yeah.
This is not, you know what I'm saying? They have went way further than, and I have to honestly be like, bro, I'm just not willing to do that. I'm not, and it's okay if that limits me, if it be like, you know, and I had to sit with myself a couple years ago and be like, dang man, well, I could really be making my money if I really learn how to mix. If that makes me not be able to make the amount of money, I got to be okay with, all right, cool, well, I got to settle for my amount because I'm not doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's me. And it's like I could be real and be like, I'm not mixing. You know, I'm going to send this to Pharaoh. I'm going to send this to Greg. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not my thing. And so I feel like you have to be, if you're an artist, well, no, if you have a talent and you just want to sing, just say that you just want to sing. But don't be, I'm an artist. Because when you say I'm an artist and you release a song, I'm asking you where the content is at.
Right.
You know, after you release the song. I'm asking you why I ain't seeing you posting your stuff. Or I'm asking you why when you put a story up, why is that not your music behind the story and you got somebody else's music behind the story? I'm asking those things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you said you wanted to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I'm at on that. It's hard for me to empathize in that area.
Well, okay, let me try to get you to empathize in another area. So I'll say for a long time when I initially started doing this, I was not really big on social media, and I'm still not. Like I don't like social media. Like if I was not doing music, podcasting and all that, I tell you, I would not have any social media accounts. Like I hate it. So, but I know that that's what I got to do. You know, I'm here. I have something that I'm supposed to be doing that I feel like if I'm not doing it, I'm being disobedient. And so then that's a whole nother area of that I don't even want to try to even play with God about. So, but when I initially started doing this, I never promoted anything. I didn't because for one, my disdain for social media was greater than my, I guess, need to push and promote my music. And then, two, you know, I didn't quite know what to do. You know, I didn't know how to really navigate the whole social media space in order to promote stuff. Another thing is I just didn't really know how to talk about it. Like, I was used to be, I guess, blinded by this false sense of humility that I didn't want to put it out here because I don't want people to think that I'm talking about myself and this and I'm promoting my stuff. And so, and then too, I was fearful too. Like I was like, well, what if nobody likes it? What if they don't, you know, and I don't get the feedback that I'm looking for, you know, what, then so I just didn't do it. I just didn't. And it wasn't because it wasn't in me. Like it wasn't because I didn't want to and that I didn't really love what I was doing. I just had all of those other, I guess, hurdles that I was trying to jump that kept stopping me. So how do you know when you're dealing with somebody who may be serious for real, but they just are dealing with a lot of stuff, you know, that's inhibiting them from actually doing what they're supposed to do, and then somebody who just playing? Because you seeing the same thing. You seeing both of these people make this song, come to this studio, do this, but do nothing afterwards. But you still dealing with two different type of people.
So I got a theory on that as far as just art, right? What art is supposed to do, if you're doing it the right way, it's supposed to reveal your true self to yourself. When you create anything, it's supposed to reveal who you truly are at the core. And a lot of people aren't creating from that place. And that's the thing I mean when I say draw that line in the sand of, okay, I'm going to be an artist. When you dive into that, you start looking at yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you 100%. Because you know what? I feel like a lot of the reason why I didn't do a lot of the work earlier, and beyond me just not wanting to be on social media, beyond that, I feel like I wasn't doing what was truly in me to do. I don't feel like I was doing what was authentic to me.
Right.
And so now I'm cool with posting my little stuff. I'm cool with talking about my, because I like my, I like what I'm doing. I like the stories that I'm able to tell, even beyond the song itself, that has a lot to do with my life and my experience with the Lord, and all the things. So, I 100%, I agree with that, because I think that is keeping a lot of people from tapping into their full potential, and it's also, I guess it too also shows you people who aren't for real.
It's an added on. That's a what he just said.
Major
is an added on fear too.
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing, like, people, so and people know you. When people know you, so not only do you have to sit with yourself, but like, you come in here talking all that rah-rah, on your songs and doing this and what you gonna do and what you gonna do. And now you faced with the task of having to put this out to a public that know you don't do nothing that you just said that you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's you know what I'm saying? Now you really gotta decide what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Because what people are gonna say or do or anything like that. And then again, you have to do what you did, is sit with yourself. And I was just telling Dre this, like, that was what happened to me in 2022. Before I started doing my music, is I literally I went through my Dropbox folder, and I had a folder called Pat Drill Beats. I hate drill music. Why was I, and it was like 16 beats in there. Why did I spend the time? But it was because I had this industry mind that was like, oh, yo, such and such looking for beats. Make beats like this. Do this like this. Do this like this. And it's like you get into this hamster wheel just trying to chase something that's not really, you. And that's not sustainable. The only thing that's going to be sustainable is authenticity, because only you can be you. So I take it to like relationships, right? So when a male and a female is in the honeymoon stage and you trying to put on and these facades and different things like that, you can only do that for so long until the real you start to come out. And so what happens is, if you're making this fake music, you're having an inauthentic fan base gravitate to you. That's what happens. Like when you see when artists be like, oh man, I don't know what happened to that artist, they just seem to fall off. It's because they were doing something that they couldn't sustain doing. So their fans left them. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what happens to like truly authentic artists, they go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. Like, Lauryn Hill just canceled on the spot dates, but she ain't lost a fan. She ain't lose no Spotify numbers. No, It ain't gonna happen. Loyal. Because she is her. And she can only be her. You know what I'm saying? But if you trying to be something else out here, you might catch wind for just a quick second. You might catch wind for just a quick second, but it's gonna leave you.
Well, Pat, because I was talking to my sister. She is Gen Z. She's 25. And we were talking about like the music now that people hear, right? Because a lot of these people are putting stuff out there that they probably are not living, doing, having experienced. I feel like that's a lot of like the rap, or like a lot in that space, hip hop. That's what we're hearing now. People just putting stuff out because it's popular, but it's seeming to work. How?
From what aspect? When you say work,
it's seeming to work the way. Well, let me say that. The way that people think it's supposed to work. Like, so you seeing their TikToks. I mean, people using their songs on TikTok. They're popular on, social media. They're on these talk shows. Like, people, they go to these, they pack out venues, sell out venues. I mean, they're on. Like, these people are doing it. So, how do you, I guess, explain? Because there is a shift happening now in the world in general, where people just want whatever is going to soothe them, assuage them, whether it's real or not. To them, they don't care. As long as it feels good right now, I'm cool. We want that type of stuff. We don't want real stuff. a lot of people don't want it. So how do you explain people being themselves, be your authentic self, but also competing with people who don't want you to be, or competing with the acceptance of people who don't want you to be your authentic self?
So I think you have to, remember when I said you have to know who you are at the table? Mm-hmm. So, and there's been like a few different videos and stuff I've seen about this. Like, when we talk about stuff that's working, in the music industry, and I'm assuming that you're just you're speaking on the things that have like a high level of success, right? Now we got to talk about money. I think that there's a conversation that has to be had about music, and then there's a conversation that has to be had about business, right? And so, my brother, he works for Power 92, right? And we sit down and we have conversations often. And Power 92 is a radio station, and it's called radio programming, right? And so, if you don't know, I'll tell you now that we are all here to be programmed. And the person doing the programming is the person with the biggest bank account. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? With the largest amount of money. And so this is why for me, I don't get, so the song that I produced, it made it to Billboard, right? And that's a great accomplishment, I feel like. Like, I do think, oh, man, that's dope, because, that didn't happen for a lot of people. Right. I get that. But I'm also not a fool to why that happened. And it's not because the song was good. I know that there was $185,000 that was put into this record. And there was $185,000 that went to radio conglomerates, Cumulus, Radio 1, Sirius XM. These are so like here we get a lot of people that give slack to like Power 92. Right, but Power 92 is a small man in this game. It's not you can't. They don't really run nothing for real. You have to. There are bosses above them, and so Power 92 is a Cumulus station, and so when you're competing against, you have to know that you being here in Little Rock, Arkansas, you striving for, and it's not a bad thing to strive for the best. But it's also important for you to know what you're really going up against. So you mad at the radio station because they not playing your stuff when their bosses have been paid, which then pays the radio station to play the other people's stuff. It's constant programming. They talk about it all the time, the DJ Khaled package. Like, when Khaled come out with a song, you're going to hear DJ Khaled's song every hour, on the hour, on every single Cumulus. It's going to happen. It's going to happen probably one or two times. The top of the hour and the bottom of the hour, it's going to happen. And it's because they have delivered this amount of money, you know what I'm saying, to be able to be in this space. So once you've done that, if you don't realize that, dang, I didn't subconsciously heard this song 50 times in the past week. Heck yeah, you gonna put it on your TikTok. Yeah, you gonna put it on Instagram. Yeah, because this song it's in you. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know that that's what's happening, which is why, that's like, when I started to realize that was happening, that's when I was like, all right, bet I'm getting completely out of Facebook. Because I realized who I was. I'm a small man at this table. So all I can do is control how much of this I'm consuming. So since it's like, okay, cool, I'm just consuming way too much of this, cut it off. You know what I'm saying? When I started to work on my own music, all right, cool, let me cut the radio off. Because I realized that I'm in a seat to be influenced. The brain is only gonna do what it continually get, repetitively. Right. It's only gonna happen like that. And so if you're not at a space where you can realize, okay, well, all right, I'm a small man at this table, but I can control this, and this. Let me do that, And I think that's once you get into that position, then you'll find that you have to be okay with being authentically you, because unless you got the same amount of money as this person, you can't compete with that person. It ain't gonna happen.
Right, for sure.
And you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, optimists that's like, oh man, well it can. No, because what happens is you be authentically you, and then your audience will grow to a certain level to where it gets the attention of the people that then has the money. And then, okay, cool. Well, yeah, you've grown it to this point. You can continue to be authentic. But Beyonce, the songs that's coming out right now, they not popping because she's great. Beyonce did her job long ago,
exactly,
to get to the place that she was at. Right now, she could literally put out the ABCs and it's gonna go.
Blow up. Yeah.
Because there's a dollar amount attached to that. It's here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
It's
so
build a valuable business.
yeah, and you gotta know that. And so knowing that you can't compete in the first place, why don't you just be you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So how, and I know you say be you, be authentic. If you don't have this, if your pockets aren't this deep, then, you know, do this, do that. How would you tell an independent artist with very few or very limited resources for funding and stuff? How would you tell them to promote? How would you tell them, where would you tell them to put their music? Like, how would you advise them on getting, because let's say you got somebody who really does want to get to the level of success where they are, quote unquote, a public figure or whatnot. What would you tell them to do?
Put it everywhere you are.
Okay.
Put it everywhere you are. So, it's a hard thing, especially being
What if somebody's in Osceola?
Put it wherever you are. Put it wherever you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you on Instagram, every time that you post on Instagram, let your music be accompanied with whatever you posting. If we walk out the door here and you see somebody and they ask, hey, what's your name? What do you do? Don't just tell them the respectable title. Well, you know, I'm Patrick. I work at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now you have to be able to walk in that I'm a music producer. I'm a music artist. And I think that's very, very hard for a lot of people to do, because that, especially here in Little Rock, Arkansas, where it's not really a market, you know, you gotta say this stuff first. And
yeah, for real.
Before anybody else jump on it. So you gotta be in that space where if can't nobody else say my name, I need to be able to say my name and let people know, you know.
Yeah. You know, I was at work at my job one day. This guy, he comes in to, like, he's in, like, environmental services, so they, like, come and clean and do all the things. And he walked in, it was New Year's Day, because I was at work New Year's Day. He comes in and he's cleaning up, and he's like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm good, how you doing? He's like, oh, I'm good, putting out some music. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, it's yours? He was like, yeah. He said, he said, mention Distro Kid. He said, I got like, I think he said like over 100 songs, you know, I'm putting out, you know, I'm like, okay. You know, I didn't ask him any of this. He's never said never talked about this before, but that day,
yeah,
he wanted to make sure. I knew, because he said he had just put out a new song.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm like, he came in here, he knew he had it in his mind. Yeah. He was gonna tell somebody about his music that day. Yeah. You know, and you're right. You gotta be able to do it.
And it's tough,
because you gotta believe in what you're doing before anybody else does anyway. So, and it's hard. It is hard. It's hard for me.
That's a hard thing. It ain't easy.
I mean, I don't like to talk about myself a lot anyway. Yeah. So then I'm, you know, people, well, Brittany, what you doing when you get home, you know? And I may be coming to the studio, but I'm like, I'm going home and read a book. You know what I mean? Like you say
So
stuff
you
like
keep it
that
low-key.
because and
facts.
but I'm getting to the place now though where people are, now that I hear other people that I wouldn't even expect to listen to my music, they're talking about it, and I'm like, girl, how you gonna let these people out talk you about your own stuff? You know, so I'm like, hey, when you go to bed tonight, play I Live, Defining the Relationship. Y'all do it too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling people, do you listen to music when you go to bed? Do you listen to music like when you working out? I got something you can listen to. Let me airdrop it to you.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
That's it. You got to do that. But like I say again, now I do empathize with that because that's hard. That's hard for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, shoot, man, my mom and daddy didn't for real until they, got to a place where it was just like, oh, well, dang, you ain't asked to borrow no money in a long time. You know what I'm saying?
That's my story.
I guess it's working out for you. And so that because it just ain't coming. Here, especially here, it's just not coming. It's a dream. And I think I'll say this too because, a lot of times we get to the situation where people will come to us and be like, hey man, we gonna put y'all on, not really understanding that we are on. We are currently living the dream. Like I'm living it right now. This is not, and I think a lot of people, equate it to the Ferrari and the mansion and the videos, and it's like no, like I take care of my wife and my kids doing music. Like this is amazing. Like this is what how is this? And so that's when I started to embrace it and be like, hey man, look, I make music. For a living. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And so
speaking of which, talking about this, because people are notorious for putting stuff out that lacks quality. Right? Whenever y'all work with people or have you in the past worked with people who will sacrifice quality over maybe they don't want to pay for the mixing, like you said, they'll record it, say I'll do something with it later, then put it out. Have you worked with people like that, and how do you feel about that? And do you continue to work with them? Like, what do you do? Or you let them put out this stuff?
I work with myself like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. And now I'm slightly different just because I do know some basic things. But so my album, I told myself at the beginning of 23 that I was gonna put this album out, before the end of the year, right? So we started getting probably like, June. I'm getting a situation where it's like, all right, cool, I'm finna get this stuff mixed. And something happened with my truck. It was like $3,000. It was like, oh my God. Okay, I can't do that. I can't do it now. Something, you know what I'm saying? Then something else happened in like October. So financially, I wasn't in a position to get my stuff mixed by the people that I wanted to mix my stuff, right? And I'll also say this. I was gonna call Ferocious and Gregatron. These are my friends to mix this music, right? And there is probably a chance that, if I was like, hey bro, can y'all do this? I'm broke, but they probably still would have did it. But for me, it was a lot of songs, right? And and I don't like to take advantage because I don't like when people do that to me. Like if you need you need me to do one, bet I got you.
Yeah.
But you gonna send me 9 and you ain't got nothing? I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I can't. Right. I couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, in that position, I had to buckle down to get out what it was that I was trying to get out for myself, right? But it was literally because the funds just weren't there to make that happen. Now, I've had situations with other artists that that will tell me that they don't have the money to either get something mixed or start on a payment plan, because Ferocious got payment plans. Yeah.
Yes,
but
sir.
and so and they'll tell me this, and I'm like, yo, we can get it done with Ferocious. He got a payment plan. Well, I ain't really got no money to do that. Okay, cool. But you leave my session to go eat your seafood boil, it costs you $80. Mm-hmm. And it's like, my G, you know, where are your priorities in this time? Because for me, something that is big as a producer is my discography, right? Mm-hmm. And if that's how I can continue to get clients by people. Okay, who made this? Oh, Pat made this. Mm-hmm. Who did? Oh, okay, this person did. Okay, and so it's like, let me go to him too. So if we constantly, you know, having to work, and I did this last year as well. Like, I had to start cutting back certain artists that just was like, man, they constantly want to take shortcuts. Mm-hmm. But for me, it ended up being a thing. Like, you know, I ain't gonna say the group name, but for a long time, it was a lot of people here not trusting me to do gospel music because the people I was working with was kind of taking shortcuts. And so it was like, yo, this don't sound good. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how long, G? That's not me. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen to the actual production, but people cannot separate those two. You can't, when you play that music on Apple Music, it's not about, oh, well, it's produced and it's not mixed good. They just say the song bad.
Right.
You know? And so when you run into those situations, you know, after a while it starts to hurt you. You want to get your money, but after a while it's like years on years, and it's like, I want to do gospel music. Can you send me something that you've done? It's like, God, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang. No, I don't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? And thank God it's better now because I'm working with some, you know, better people. But it's just like, that's tough, you know. But I will say that, you know, doing this artist thing in 2022 and 2023, I empathize with artists more because it's like, dang, this does get expensive. But what I will say is there's a level of intentionality that you have to have if you truly saying that you're an artist. Let's put this money back in. Like, let's develop this artist account. Like now there's an account. When I get paid, I'm going to send my tithes out, and then I'm going to send some money to the side for artistry. It's like, all right, cool. In the future, when I get ready to get something mixed again, let me just have this back. You know what I'm saying? Or because that's essentially what the label is going to do. Like, you know, you kind of, if you're going to operate. And I think that's important. Like, for me, I really don't even want to work with a person if they don't have a budget. And not like budget, like, oh, you got to have a lot of money. But budget is simply saying, I put this amount aside on purpose for this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And if you can't say that you're willing to do that, we probably shouldn't be doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if it's $10 a week.
I want to speak to that same point also because it seems like things that dealing within art, we give ourselves a lot of grace. But if you remove art and put real estate right there, none of these things or these excuses are they don't even apply. Mm-hmm. Like, if I want to secure a property and I got to invest the money to flip this property and get it in tip-top shape to get somebody in that house or whatever I'm doing with it, if I'm doing a resale, whatever it is, I have to have the money to secure the property. Right. I have to have the money to pay the contractors.
That's
and all
good,
that.
Bro. That's good.
And if you look at music, I mean, a song is a piece of real estate.
Right. But you know why, bro? Yeah. When you say that, you know why that is? Because in real estate, you got inspectors and appraisers.
Come on, man. That was good. Come on.
And maybe we need musical inspectors and appraisers because that inspector is going to go in there and they're going to say, yo, this house not even good enough for you to sell.
And that's what happened.
And it'll be illegal for you to sell it on the market at that point because it's not even a safe house. And so, well, that might be
maybe a haunted something.
That might be music inspections.
I mean, and I had
scouting out people.
I had this conversation the other day. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about with people cutting corners is because creativity is one of those things, and I'll speak only specifically to Black people. We don't really. I think that due to history and how there's a lot of struggle in our culture, just all around. I think that we haven't had enough years to even appreciate things like intellectual property, like white people.
Yeah.
Like they look at their ideas as money makers, and then they execute and they make money. We give our ideas away on social media for free every day. People put their best jokes up there. They'll put time into curating the content, and it'll be genius level stuff, music, poems, just whatever it is. And a lot of times we don't really believe in our stuff enough to know that you can wake up one day and you can have a check in the mail for these ideas.
Yeah, for real.
That opened up my mind. The first time I got a royalty check, and it wasn't for no millions of dollars. My mind was changed from that moment because I said, this is for something I wrote 3 years ago. And I just got somebody's paycheck.
Man, bro.
And I ain't have to get out of bed for this.
Yeah.
The possibilities was endless from there.
Yeah.
That's why I keep doing this.
Yes. It gets different. When you see that, it really validates
to know that, every quarter, like right now, I think my checks be like $250, but it's still like, that's $250 for something I did 4 years ago. Like it's like
somebody's gig.
I didn't do nothing. Facts.
Right,
it's like I didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But this is amazing. And so it's just like, well, let me keep doing it. And that's like I say, that's why I try to go hard with the artists. It's like, all right, cool, man. If we can get one, where people actually like it, and grow, and we can build on this, then that's
You mentioned intellectual property, and as Black people being limited with terms like that and knowing like the ins and outs. Can you kind of talk about that a little more, like what that is exactly, like what the word means, the two words mean, and what it means for an independent music artist? Because I know whenever I first started doing this back in 2015, 2016, the first thing I did was retain lawyers. And I ain't even do it. You know what I'm saying? I just started.
That's
Nobody
good,
know
though.
me.
That's good,
I
though.
retained an intellectual property lawyer, and I retained. She at the time she was in real estate and estate. She was an estate attorney, but I retained her to get all of my paperwork and stuff done because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I wanted my business and stuff to be set up right. I wanted my intellectual property to be set up right, contracts to be right. I wanted to know how to do all of that stuff. So talk about that and talk about why it's so important for independent artists, even for independent artists. Let me say that.
Yeah, so your intellectual property, that's the idea itself. I got a song idea that has this type of concept. I might have a rough melody. And your idea, like every time you come up with an idea, you have full ownership of that idea. It's your job to do the copyright to prove such. But if we just keep it simple, and we talk about songs, if I'm a person that has had uber success in the music industry, and I meet somebody and they might not have had any traction, any success, not a single fan, they can sing a song to me, and I can say, "Oh man, that's amazing. Sell me that idea. I got the paperwork right here. How much would you sell this to me for?" "Oh, well, I don't know. I've never did anything. I don't have any kind of validation of anybody even tell me I'm good." Man, I give you $200 for that song right now, and I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna go cut it on Usher, and we gonna go make $1 million. These type of things happen. But people don't. So basically, I don't want to get too far off track. But yeah, your intellectual property, that's any idea, any creative idea that you come up with and you construct, and you have ownership over that, and you can leverage that and use it as you choose.
Yeah, and it's major to know those small things, but it's that stuff that people don't often think about, though, y'all. I mean, and maybe somebody genuinely wants to do this and they want to do it the right way, but they don't know stuff like that.
Right.
You know? And so that's why I think it's important to have conversations like this, not just to be able to go, because here's the thing, if there are certain things that I don't know that I'm supposed to do, I will not Google that. I will not YouTube that because I don't even know I'm supposed to.
Right.
You know? And so, you know, instead of us all the time wanting to give people information for a fee, or even, you know, sending somebody out to be taken advantage of by somebody else, you know, people just need to know this little bitty stuff that matters, because it's not that intuitive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe it should be. It's 2025, I know, but it's not. You know, but like that stuff like that matters. You don't think it does, but it matters.
It's really the most important
It's
thing.
the most
Everything we're talking about, like it all starts with the idea.
Foundation. I think too, there has to be a level of weight placed on art.
Yes.
Because it's only in our industry that people just feel like they can just up and do it. So if you decide that you're gonna get into real estate, I don't know nobody out here that just jump into real estate without talking to a professional in the game, in that space. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of, and this I'd be like, you know, with the family or whatever, and you know, my uncle would be like, "Hey, you got a nice house over here. I see, you know, your truck is nice, it's all that. Shoot, I need to start doing some music." And it's like, but you don't say that to my cousin that's a doctor, you know. You don't say that to the lawyer, you know, because you respect the time, you know, that it took them to get to that place. And I just feel like we don't really put that level of you don't, because it just happens sometimes. But like if you really sit and you think about what's happening when you get in the studio or when you come up with an idea, like this is something that does not exist.
Yeah.
That you just kind of bring into fruition. Like you
are stepping into your God.
That is
in the image and likeness.
Yeah,
of God
that's
moment.
something that's super, super incredible. And then not to mention that, you know, that you actually make the song and it comes out. It's like Before I Live came out, like you saw this before it happened, and now it's here. It's like that ain't to be slept on.
No,
and it's here forever.
Right.
I think that's the part that people kind of glaze over. It's like when you create a piece of art, it's in the world forever. And a lot of times, like what you were saying earlier about stuff working, right? In art, the real test if something is great is the time that passes, the staying power. It's movies that came out that weren't blockbuster hits, but now they're cult classics because people digesting them again over and over. Like, wait a minute, it's layers to this. There's other stuff in here, and it's like
I just watched Harlem Nights again, and I was like, yo, this is.
And they did horrible when it came out,
bro.
They did horrible when it came out. Legendary movie.
This a legendary movie.
Yeah.
It is just, it is. But
yeah, that makes sense. So, I want to go here, and then we'll be at a point where we're gonna wrap it up. But you know, you were talking a lot about like labels and stuff earlier. So for people now in this generation, in the time that we're in now, would y'all say that it would be wise for a person to sign to a label or stay independent? Like, what would you advise somebody to do? Or would you advise them either way? Like,
it depends on the work ethic.
It depends on your work ethic, your intentions, what you want out of this, all of those things.
So if you want, what do you have to want in order to stay independent, and what do you have to want in order to sign to a label?
If you want to have access to, well, not access, if you want to attain all of the resources to make this a business for yourself over time, then you probably want to be independent. Now, if you want to just have somebody that's going to outsource all these things and put you in a position to where you have notoriety, now you can still use that and market things in the future. But when you sign with a label, they have all the say-so. They have all of the resources, they have the capital, and they also have the say-so on when you can drop music, when you can do anything. That you can turn an album and they can say, yeah, this is not good enough. We want 10 other songs. We're going to scrap these.
So you lose freedom.
Absolutely.
With labels. So if you want to keep that, then what about labels that sign that are specifically for independent artists?
That's distribution. That's different.
So, or like, there's some, and I don't know. Like, I have not researched this, so I don't know I may not know what I'm talking about. But there's some Christian labels who market themselves as labels who are catered to the independent artists who want to keep their freedom, want to keep their, rights. Like they say that. Is that actually realistic? Can they really do that?
I say everybody say that.
Okay.
So I said work ethic in the beginning because you gotta, if you are going to for real be a true independent artist, I need to be able to say, Brittany, how much did your artistry make last month? And you need to know that because it's on a spreadsheet. I need to be able to say, how much did you spend on your artistry last month? And you need to know that. We need to be able to say, okay, cool, what is your scheduling like? What are you know what I'm saying? It's those small, minute things. If you're not in a space where you are willing to do all of that, and some people just don't have the mental capacity to do it. That's why I don't get ups. I don't have an issue with like labels because it's like some people ain't gonna do the work for real,
right?
To make it happen. And so what you have to understand is, okay, cool, well, you're not going to do the work. These people are going to pay people to do the work for you. So you need to know that you ain't going to get paid until these people that have paid out pay you back, or get paid back for everything that they've done for you. And there's some people that's just not going to do it because it's entirely too much, right? So and I say that all labels say the same thing is because that's the popular word right now is independent. Mm-hmm. Everybody and their mama is independent till you really go and look at the credits on what's happening with the stuff. All the artists that you feel like is independent, go and look at them credits and look down at the very bottom and tell me what such and such records say. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And because most of the artists that are like extremely successful, they're funded by another label. You know what I'm saying? That could be through distribution. Now, if you looking at the distribution deal, most of the time those are like imprint situations. So if you say, okay, cool, well, I don't want you to sign me as an artist. Well, they'll say, well, if you want to, remain and keep your independence, let's do Brittany Dotson Records, mm-hmm. and we'll give you money to make music and create artists, but you will still, have a level of freedom. Now, you still owe us our money back, but, you know what I'm saying, you can move like that, but that's after you've been proven to have an ROI, you know what I'm saying, or return on the investment or whatever. And so I feel like it's just really dependent on the person because we talk about this, there's artists here that say that they're independent, and I'm like, nah, they need to be signed because they just not gonna do the work for real. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let them make the music, try to build a buzz up or whatever, and let somebody come and give them some money because that's what they need.
That's what they need to do.
And some people's validation is in the deal itself.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
Like once they get the deal, they feel like I've proved that I was good enough to garner attention, and that's where it stops. But I tell you something from personal experience, something that's super scary, like putting something out and it's really good and somebody hit you up and say, I'm interested in it on a major level. It's some people who would just run and hide because they won't know what to do. Like they were so unprepared in that moment that they'll be like, oh, I wasn't expecting nobody to even like this song, let alone hit me up saying they want to do business.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have a lawyer. I didn't get I didn't get all my stuff together, my paperwork as far as structuring my business. So I'm just a person putting out music. Mm-hmm. But these people are for real, and they like what I put out.
That's a scary thing too, and you
it
got to
is
be
scary.
careful. You know what I'm saying with that. Like I think, like for me personally, you know, I ran into that situation where it was just like I'm upset because I don't have this, and God, you ain't answering my prayers. And this is not happening. This is not happening. And then I was sitting down one day, and I just kind of had this. You know, a lot of people be like, "Well, God tell me I don't." You know, I just had this thought that I do feel like was God, and it was like, if I gave it to you right now, what would you do with it? And it scared the living daylights out of me because I had no idea for real.
Yeah.
It's like you asking for something, you don't even know what you're gonna do when the time comes.
Yeah.
You know, and so essentially what you're gonna do, you're gonna blow it. If I give you this, if we walk outside and that million right there, what's your first move? Most people don't know. And it's like, well, since you don't know, you're gonna go take some of it to Amazon. You're gonna probably go buy you another. You're gonna all of a sudden need a new car. Oh, you're gonna want to do this. Because you're gonna move off emotions because you don't have a plan. You know, and that's
Yeah, that's true.
that's a scary place to be
That
in.
is a scary place to be in, and it's scary too for somebody else to have to come in, you know, depending on who they are, to tell you that you're worth whatever it is you're worth, or to tell you that your music is good, or to tell you that you are good, you know, at what you do, that you like that's you in a bad place if that's what it takes for you to know that what you have is good. Because I mean, if you don't believe it first, then like even if somebody comes in on a major level and tells you, I want to sign you, major label wants to sign you, if they got to tell you that for you to believe it, for you to be validated, even after that, you won't believe it. You won't, and you will not be validated. That's not going to stick.
You continue to need more things to reinforce that validation.
Yes, you are. It's always going to be something else that's going to have to take you to the place where, oh, yeah, now I made it. Now, you know, and you're never going to attain that.
And that's the silly your soul. Like a lot of people be like, "Oh, it's the Illuminati." It's
No.
not. It's not. It's that. It's
Yes.
it's when you get into that space where it's just like you're just doing everything to reach the next.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. That's a bad place to be in.
That validation just to be signed is heavy, bro.
Yeah.
That's insane. Jesus.
Yes. Well, listen, I got one more question for y'all, and we're gonna get out of here. So, for an independent artist who is putting out music, because it gets expensive, and it's, you know, if you want good quality music, it gets expensive. How would you tell that person, because you mentioned ROI, how would you tell or advise an independent music artist or somebody who, you know, is constantly putting out music, how would you tell them or advise them to make money or bring in revenue, or, you know, kind of get a return on their on their investment?
I would say, like we spoke about in the beginning, don't start off comparing yourself to artists who have a major machine behind them. Get on the ground, you know, do the grassroots work and garner your tribe fan by fan. And once you get these people attention and they prove that they're riding with you, you promote to them and then go outward.
Okay. So you say to the grassroots work, like, and garner a tribe by what means? Like, how would you tell?
I would say one thing is doing your own shows. And when I say doing your own shows, I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be at a super big venue that holds 3,000 or 4,000 people.
You're looking for a return on investment. That's it.
Yeah, return on investment. We were just talking about La Russell. This man started residency in his backyard, and he performed for his community, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's what I mean by grassroots. Like, promote to your community before you go to social media trying to promote to the world.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Release the music.
Yeah.
Because that's where it starts. I think there's so many creatives and so many artists, you know, that just have stuff compiled and just sitting up. and it's doing you no good just sitting up. So first things first is you want to release the music to give yourself a chance to start being able to make money, and then promote your music wherever you are, you know, and build like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't expect the double in it. You know, you're able to see the small steps. You know, being able to put the music exactly where you are. You know, promote it where you are with your small following. Just start.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest hurdle. And as you grow, you know, there are things, like I say, for me, I think accounting is something that all artists should learn to do. All artists, every artist should know how much it takes for them to perform and how much they need to get back for them to perform. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of break it down for this. It's like, all right, so if you want to present yourself well for a performance, so you need an outfit. How much does that cost? Like, don't just take, and even if you pull something out your closet, assess the amount of this outfit. What did this cost me to do? If I got to drive there, how much did this cost me to do? Do I have to pay a band? How much did this cost me to do? Did I have to book this venue? How much did this cost me to do? Because a lot of people, they can't set a true accurate price because they don't know how much it costs. They don't know how much it costs to be them. And I feel like everybody should know how much it costs to operate.
Right.
You know? Sure. And when you know that, then you can kind of set your limits to, you know what I'm saying, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know? And you could be honest, and if you living beyond your means and beyond the means of your talent, maybe you need to scale back.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. I had said that was the last question. One more question, because you said something earlier. So, you know how y'all were talking about, I think you said that about putting back, having a budget for mixing, mastering, whatever you got to do, getting the song produced, just whatever expense you need to have a budget for it. Okay, and then you just said release the music, you know? So would you advise somebody who maybe has not done a budget, they hadn't set anything aside, they are getting started, or they've been doing it a long time but hadn't taken the steps to actually get music released, would you tell them to wait until they had a budget? Or would you, like, what would you tell them to do if they haven't thought about all that stuff?
It depends on the demand.
The demand for that they put on themselves, or the demand from us. Like,
well, what I'm saying in that situation is back to the fan piece, right? If there is no demand, then you kind of have time. If you want, you can wait if you want to.
You got time to mess up registering songs. Yeah. Like in the time being, like before you walk in here and start doing this studio, do the stuff that's not so pretty. You know, do the stuff that maybe you can't really make a reel for. You know,
and just being honest, I don't be trying to hear a lot of that stuff because I've been there. So when I work with artists that come in here, they give me a lot of excuses. I'd be like, man, I begged to do this for free when I was 19.
That's why it's hard. That's why I can't get piano lessons right now. I did this
making $0. I was happy to get the experience.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So y'all just no excuse.
That's why it's hard for me. I remember seeing 4:50 a.m. watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out, you know, how to produce and what sound should I put this kick on top of this kick and this clap on top of this clap to make this clap. You know, I could stack this in. I remember doing that. And so for me, it's like, man, if you ain't willing to stay until 5 o'clock in the morning, that's why I say I ain't really got empathy. Because it's like, man, I don't know if you really want to do this.
This man, and back to what he was saying, this man's dad was bringing him to the studio. He was not.
When I was 9, they had guns in there.
A house full of grown men. He getting dropped off, and he's recording music with us.
For real, but like times where there was kids that wanted to, can we spend the night? Now y'all can't spend the night. I gotta go to the studio.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sacrificing that because I knew that's what I wanted, like for real. And so I think that you gotta be in that space, and that's like that when you really want it, and then on the flip side to like what you are, when you really know you called to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a different
Yeah.
wanting it, and then really, having the knowledge of what it means to be called to do this. Like, it's like, okay, cool. If you called and you decide not to, then what use are you?
Right.
You have to ask yourself those
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And so both of those, to me, either or, it's like you got to do the work to get it done.
Right.
You know what I'm
Regardless.
saying? Regardless. If you really want this, you'll do the work. If you call, you got to do the work.
Right. Right.
And this,
They gotta
Right.
hit different.
they got to hit, boy. They got to
sure,
hit
for sure.
majorly different, especially they got them from God.
Right. For
That-
real. You don't want to play with that.
Yeah, nah, dog.
Listen, thank y'all.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I
This was good.
appreciate
This was
y'all.
really
It
good.
was real good. I hope that somebody somewhere got something from it. I know they should have. If they didn't, I know I did. And I mean, I appreciate you all tremendously for what you do, even just beyond this conversation. Just your contributions to like the music space, the local music space. I can't say thank you enough for y'all lending yourselves to all of us so that
Appreciate
we
you.
can benefit from the greatness that is inside of you. So thank y'all. Thank you. Listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in to The Traditional Millennial, where conventional meets contemporary and faith fills the gaps.
These are words I ask myself of. Yeah.